People don't know what a professional intuitive is. A professional intuitive gives practical, helpful, and sometimes life-changing insights into living your best life. My name is Mary Lee Tretnero. I've been a professional intuitive for the last 18 years, and I have a very successful private practice here in Boston. Intuition is a way of knowing that bypasses logic and perception. And something pops into your mind, and there's no logical reason why you might know that or knowing where it came from. It allows you to make the best possible choice amongst all of your options. So it sort of skips over the steps. You know, methodically, you might go A, B, C, D, you know, to come to a conclusion. And even with going through those steps, you might not make the best choice. What intuitive is always trying to get at is, you know, information for you that would help you thrive. That's why we always say, you know, with the highest and best intent, or for our highest and best good, because we don't always know what what's our highest and best good. The other reason that it's good to see a psychic or an intuitive is that we don't always know what our options are, and an intuitive might point out to you that instead of having 2 options, you have like 5 or 6 that you didn't even consider. And so it just really broadens out, expands out, you know, your possibilities. Or one of the things that my clients tell me is that when I really changed their perspective on, you know, like a particular area in their life, you know, where they had concerns. You know, maybe they have been really worried about, they think they should be moving. And there's a lot of energy that gets tied up when you decide to move. But really what they're, you know, in the reading, it may come out that what they really need to do is really get down and work on their relationship. So by taking them away from, taking their attention and focus off the move, that they're freed up to work on the thing that gives them the most anxiety. And so then they just, you know, they just see like a bigger picture, or when you start focusing on the right things, other things start falling into place, you know, and so it's a way of getting unstuck. What happens a lot with this is that people think that there's something that's really tough to overcome. And the problem is they're looking at the wrong thing, you know, like they think the problem's over here, the problem's actually over here. So they're like solving the wrong problem. And as soon as they are more clear and focused on what the right issue is, it clears up, and they feel more empowered to take action. The best way for someone to develop their own intuition is by meditating. And the reason meditation is well, it's good for so many things, but the reason it's good for your intuition, developing intuition, is that it quiets the mind. And where intuitions come from is they're like these pops, but they come out of you being serene. If you're agitated, if you're upset, if you're feeling, you know, like you're off a little bit, your insight, your intuition's going to be off. So we always say, and I think, you know, in the field we're pretty much in agreement that meditation is the best way to hone or to develop your intuition. Another really good practice is to keep a journal. So when you start having these intuitions, you actually write them down, and you can date it. You can put, you know, whatever came with that, you know, intuitive pop, if it was an image or you know, something auditory. And then later on, when that comes to fruition, you've just received validation. And validation is probably the next thing that is the best thing to cultivate intuition, is that you need reinforcement. So when you have a journal and you see it in black and white, light that, yes, earlier this morning I said that, I was going to get a phone call from Uncle Joe, and Uncle Joe never calls me. And then later that day he calls you. You can not only, do you know this, but you see it in writing. So it's a great reinforcement. That I can help you clarify, the situations that are going on in your life, and really what the bottom line is. What are the right decisions for you to make. I actually don't make the decisions myself, but I give you, I don't tell you what to do. But what I try to do is give you enough information, enough insights that it sort of points you in that direction. So a lot of times people come away from a reading feeling really decisive, like they've cleared something up. And I often feel like I'm just another data point, to tell you the truth. Like I'm another piece of information that, helps people to decide. So by doing a reading, it's almost like a tuning fork. It's like somebody gets in sync with you. And so you're just trying to align them with their own intuition. And so, a person might come to see me and say, oh, you're validating what I already thought. That's a good thing. It means that they're sharp, they're grounded, they're clear. And sometimes, I'm the tuning fork, that gets them to that point. I ask that nobody tells me anything during the first half of the reading. But the second half of the reading, I actually put the client in charge. So I decided that I was going to make sure that I set aside enough time so that the client could fully get have their agenda addressed. And I get a lot of good feedback. I have a very loyal following because I do that. I ask them to come prepared with a list of questions so that by the time they walk away, they've really had the ultimate opportunity, for, my intuition and my guides and their, and what their focus is. And the studies are that if you are overly anxious all of the time, or if you're filled with stress, or you have a lot of fears. Those are the big three in terms of shutting down your intuition. Another thing is that when you come to a session, we always say that you have to be open to whatever is going to come through. You can't come to a session and be selectively listening. I'll listen to this, but I won't listen to that. And so if you're open to all of it, then your intuition, gets unblocked. When I'm working with a client and we've unblocked their intuition, then we start working with decision making. And one of the best things in terms of decision making is for them to be grounded. So it's important to have take a few deep breaths. If you're starting to feel scattered or spacey, take a few deep breaths and center yourself and feel quiet within. And that really helps your decision-making process. Also, when you're starting to use intuition with your decisions, it's a good idea to practice in places that are kind of non-threatening. So you don't, when you're getting ready to go in to have a major talk with your boss, you don't really want to, play with your intuition at that point. You want to start with something small, something that it doesn't matter either way if it's right or wrong. And so you just build up on those small, non-threatening decisions until you get to the ones that are a little bit more serious. So thank you very much for coming to my website. You've also come to my home here. And if you have any further questions about either your intuition, unblocking your intuition, developing your intuition, please feel free to call me, or you can email me. You can also follow me on Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest. And also, I have a newsletter, and feel free to sign up for that as well. So thank you so much for coming to my website.